All right, so about 6 years ago, I had taken a company public on the NASDAQ, and this is, in 2008, what happened in 2008, who remembers?
The world ended.
Boom.
Collateralized mortgage obligations imploded, right? Right before that, I was doing a deal with Citigroup, and I was with Jeff Shackner, who was his chief operations officer of Citigroup. And I'm in his office, we're closing a transaction. He said, sorry, we got to stop. All of Citigroup's funds have been frozen.
Wow.
This was May 2007.
Wow. Man.
And about 6 months later, we all know what happened. Since then, we also saw that when I took another company, NASDAQ at that time, and so when you take a company public, you deposit shares in what's called the Depository Trust Corporation. Who's ever heard of that? DTCC. Okay, they are the settlement arm of, we'll call it the U.S. equities, or quite frankly, anything in the United States, technically from a settlement standpoint. And when you go public, you put a certain amount of shares in the depository trust, meaning you move them from the company shareholder logs into the digital assets of the Depository Trust Corporation. And those are supposed to be the only shares that can transact and trade in, whether it be the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, whatever it might be. So after the listing, we had about a month later, the company we traded 300 million shares around $5 a share. We're the second largest stock volume and liquidity in that day. My buddy calls me and says, hey Matt, remember we had put 2 million shares in the depository trust. Remember 2 million shares? A buddy called me and said, he sent me a screenshot of his E-Trade account. I've got 500,000 shares. My other buddy, I got 1 million shares. My other buddy, I got 500,000 shares. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And then 3 or 4 friends sent me their screenshots. My friends alone had 4 million shares, and there's only 2? Uh-oh. So I started getting the investigative side of settlements. I started looking at what's called your NOBOs, your non-obligatory, non-owner beneficiary, your OBOs, your NOBOs, your DTCs, which I was settling, and your Bloomberg terminals. I was trying to find out where the hell all these shares were. And guess what we found out? They are what's considered naked short, traded through the dark pool, and there was no settlement. Now, if you're an investor, you hear a story, do you want to buy those shares if you believe in the company? Yes, you do. You've heard the story. You're hoping you bought them either from the company or someone else who doesn't want those anymore. Now you get to take advantage of that. If you knew you were buying shares from someone who made them up, took your money, and now has an IOU, how do you feel?
Like crap.
Well, I was extremely upset. Now this has been going on for a while, but post 2008, the guys who were doing collateralized mortgage obligations, guess where they went? They transitioned over to the dark pools. And I saw this in multiple companies we were working with. Andrew Scott, who some of you may have met previously before, who's on the advisory board for T7X. He was at Think Equity, who's done 100 IPOs. All of his assets, the same thing. I said, this is a problem. Because the truth, the trust and transparency you're expecting to have was not there. So we went to blockchain. I said, okay, I'm now going to make smart contracts. Yes, I can code in Solidity. Doesn't really mean too much. And I could create smart contracts on Ethereum and other projects, and I could build this. So I created some smart contracts. I said, this can't happen in crypto because you can't sell it unless you own it. You're supposedly, right? Then I found out Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, all the others you have heard of, guess what they were doing? The exact same thing. So that's when we decided, okay, look, for this to work, for companies like myself and many others who I've talked to here today and part of our group, they've also participated in that. We need to create an environment where the actual assets get the benefit and the investors get the benefit. Hence, the need for blockchain, for truth, trust, and transparency situation in place. both from the trading platform side, from the assets side, and just as important, from the blockchain side. Hence the evolution of what Billy pushed me for a year to get done, the Trusted Smart Chain. And without the Trusted Smart Chain, you don't have the rails, you don't have the cell phone towers for the telecommunications network. Trusted Smart Chain is the infrastructure that all of this operates on. But most importantly, it also creates community, because without community, what would Bitcoin be? Nothing.
Not much.
I hate to say without the Doge community, what would Doge be, but similar. And what our objective here has been is to bring trust and transparency of real assets, like what Adam's going to build here eventually. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. And other projects, people we've met, and those of you who haven't met Dean, raise your hand. Dean is the Chief Operations Officer and Director of Grow Estate, which is tokenizing. You got to talk to him about his experience in public markets and what he's doing. Tyler, who's a CEO of Tranquil Health. Is Tyler here? Where's Tyler? Well, Tyler back there. Tyler's also been involved in public companies as well in the healthcare sector. Damon, where are you, Damon? Damon, also been involved in many public companies and private companies raising capital, and what he's doing with his real world assets, and many others that really want to benefit their shareholders as well as their assets. That's what this brings to the Trusted Smart Chain. So that's the reason why. And let's give Ben a round of applause, and we can give it back to Ben.
Well,